It's always tough to be a sales guy and not to sell anything. So I will not try to sell anything. And I will try to sort of follow the footsteps of Harmeet and sort of give you a sort of a view on what's Dell's story with the software space. As Harmeet correctly said, Dell is not known to be a very big storage player, a very significant storage player. Dell is also not known to be a very significant software player. But the interesting fact about the software business is that over the last 1 year, the Dell software group, the revenues are close to $2 billion. So we are a fairly large software company by its own itself. So, and we have a strong portfolio of software products, but what I want to sort of cover upon is purely on the data protection side, which primarily sort of centers around the backup and recovery piece. And I know a lot of people have sort of traveled a long time to come here, so I will not take too much of time. My presentation is very short, so we'll get through this quickly. Oh, really? Where's the next my presentation? I can't do what Harmeet said again, so I'm sorry. Yes, this is the mine one, right? So I've been with Quest Software, just to spend a quick snapshot. I've been with Quest Software for 3 years before Quest sort of got acquired by Dell last year, and now I'm part of the Dell Software Group. So I operate out of the Dell Software Group based out of Singapore, managing this business across APJ, so Asia Pacific and Japan. Quick one. So I know Harmeet talked about backing up photographs, backing up his entire son's photographs onto his dad and creating a DR site for it. This movie, I'm sure, if you are not aware of it, your kids are aware of it. This movie was supposed to get released on a specified date. They were sort of edited. The content was ready. And this is a true story. It's on the YouTube. You can go to the YouTube link and figure out. And then they suddenly realized that the main server which was storing the content had sort of got crashed. And they were not very sure where the backup of that content is, or even they had a backup or not. But fortunately, one of the sort of the creative editors sort of remembered that they had created a backup, and it was in her house. So they drove down, got to the house, recovered the entire stuff, and the movie got released on schedule. So it just sort of re-emphasizes a couple of things. One is why you need to take a data backup, even for things like movies and all, and why recovery is more critical than backup is. Backup is completely hygiene. I mean, today, backup industry is probably as old as the tape industry is, or probably as old as the storage industry is. It's more important how well and how quickly and how consistently you can recover data. And that's what my next slide actually talks about. The reality is that recoveries fail. And I'm sure you have all gone through these sort of experiences in a small manner or in a critical manner, but recoveries actually fail for different reasons. It could be because of the technology, it could be because of the software that you use, or because of the applications that are being used, or how it was being backed up, or how the entire thing was implemented. But 1 in 5 recoveries actually fail. And this is not we are saying, it's an independent analyst which comes out and says that. And it costs a lot of money. From a business impact, from an opportunity lost, it actually impacts, and it actually translates into a revenue loss for organizations. So frankly, sort of spending some time in terms of trying to understand what's your sort of pain points are. I know Harmeet sort of talked about what keeps you awake in night. There are certain pain points that you are sort of have already started living with. One is the significant explosion of data growth. That has absolutely become an explosion. It's no longer exponential, it's explosion. You have so much of data growth happening out of every point of interaction or engagement that your employees do. It's unimaginable. Second is IT operations today are 24/7 by 365. Business always expects IT to be up and running to provide all the insights and all the information that the business needs to make their decisions. And third, a lot of organizations in a lot of verticals are also governed by a lot of compliance rules. So you need to store data, you need to manage those ever-increasing data to meet compliance requirements, be it from a government perspective, be it from a market perspective. And then what you have in your infrastructure is a significant complicated infrastructure. So you have built up a storage infrastructure to manage and store that amount of data. You have applications which runs your business today. Then you have remote offices, mobile workforce. Then you have virtualization. Virtualization is a great technology. It helps you to sort of converge infrastructure, but it makes it more complex in terms of how do you back up and manage your data. Third, and the last part is the big thing, the cloud. And I say it's people are still trying to understand what to do with the cloud and how to manage and how to work in a cloud environment. So you have all this complexity in this environment. And it's very, very significantly complex from what it was probably 10, 15 years back in an IT environment. And this brings to me that slide that Harmeet sort of spent time. The objective was not to sort of remind you what Harmeet said again, but the objective was to sort of re-emphasize what Harmeet said, is that the important thing is to figure out what your sweet spot is. And it sort of relates back to your data classification. We all generate lots of data, but do we really need to back everything of it? Today we actually back up everything. But do we have a classification strategy into broadly 3 categories to figure out what is your mission critical, which probably will stop your business if you lose that data? What is business critical? It has a business impact on the data. It might not be as important as mission critical, but it has an impact on your business. And third could be your static data, predominantly data that you store for 7 years for pure some compliance requirements, and you might only require it once in 7 years. Once you do that classifications of data, then you will figure out what is the RPO and the RTO requirements you have for each classification of data. And then you have a data protection strategy aligned for each classification of data, rather than having a one-size-fits-all strategy. And that's what Dell brings on the table. Dell sort of understands your organization infrastructure, understands what sort of data you're creating, what is the classification of data that you want. Based on the classification, we provide the solution that sort of works best in terms from an RPO-RTO perspective, based on TCO perspective, and based on simplicity in terms of manageability. I will not really spend too much time on this, but the important thing is a couple of things which is important. I think what sort of Harmeet addressed, but I think the first point is very, very important. Your application is today your as I might say, your backbone for your business is. And once you sort of identify which applications are critical for your business, which applications are not critical for your business, and align your entire data protection strategy based on the application value that it brings to the organization, you are actually sort of creating a more efficient data protection strategy. And that's what Dell sort of helps you to do that. And that's what the Dell sort of integrated story of storage, software, data protection sort of helps you to align towards this goal. The first one is very, very critical. For example, the importance that I've met a lot of CIOs like you, and when I sort of ask them what is your most important application, unfortunately, invariably it comes back, it's my mailing system, which is actually not. Your probably most critical application is your SAP system probably, or an Oracle financial system. If that goes down, your business is gone. You probably lose your competitiveness in the business if that application is down for more than 4 hours or 4 days. So once you sort of identify which applications are critical to your business, and you sort of align your strategy towards that, you're sort of good to go on your data protection stuff. And this is important. And this is what Dell brings on the table, and this is what this sort of is the refined version of that crowded slide that we sort of spent time on the last one. But Dell probably is the only company today which can talk about a completely integrated story from end to end, be it from a standard x86 servers running Windows and Intel, onto storage, onto deduplication appliances, onto tape, and then sort of you plug in the entire backup and recovery software into that. And wrap it around is the entire Dell services, which helps you to do consulting, implementation, and do the post-sale support. What happens is you get a solution from a single IP, single vendor, and all solutions actually talking to each other. So it's completely integrated stuff. I know Harmeet talks about 2 vendor story and 2 partner story. I want to be a partner, but personally my belief is that I want to be the chosen one. And that's where our strength brings in the table, that we have a complete story to talk about today. Couple of years back, as Quest software, we used to sell only a piece of that. We used to sell the middle portion of it. And we used to work with people like Harmeet to sort of create that solution story. But we just never talk each other as an integrated piece. Dell, a couple of years back, used to talk probably the first piece and a bit of the last piece. But today with this entire acquisition coming through and integration done very, very quickly over the last 8 to 9 months, we can actually talk a complete story. And this sort of highlights the entire product portfolio. But important thing here is that all the products, as I said, talk to each other. We have reports which demonstrates performance benchmarks vis-a-vis with the software running on Compellent in EcoLogic, or EcoLogic running this software, what's the performance reports based on the environment. So you can leverage the Dell Solution Centers in Bangalore and sort of figure out how your environment will operate if you have an infrastructure like this. And important thing to sort of mention here is that if you look at this Powervault DL, is if you look at a backup software, just a plain vanilla backup software, you buy the backup software, then you go and buy the server, then you go buy the operating system on that server, and then you install that backup server, and then hope that the backup server is optimized or the backup software is optimized to do all the functions that you want. Powerwall DL is a range of appliances which are basically backup appliances. It's a hard-coded server with the backup software factory installed, comes out of the factory. So what you do is, the moment you decide on this appliance to be brought based on your environment, you just put it in your environment, plug it in, and it starts running. You probably need to configure a few policies and your appliance is running. And one thing that you can be rest assured, that the appliance is sort of optimized for superior performance of a combination of hardware and the software is. And it's again from a single vendor, single IP product. So you have a backup appliance, you have a deduplication appliance which is DR4100, enables you to compress data, enables you to stop backing up repeated with data, enables you to save bandwidth, enables you to save cost and time on backing up. And then you have the software piece, and then you have the services. And obviously then you have the storage. The good thing is that the entire piece is sort of integrated, and you can manage it through an unified sort of console. So you don't need to look at 5 different consoles. You don't need to train your IT team to sort of get trained on 5 different consoles. It's just one console which manages everything. And that's the beauty of the entire integrated story that we have today. This is some proof points. This is purely from the software side. It's not from the hardware side or the storage side. This is some proof points from the pure data protection software side. We have close to 82,000 customers worldwide. And we are adding almost 3,000 customers every quarter, which is a significant size. And we are already the 6th largest backup and recovery software company in just 18 months. And the last one, I'm sure some of you might have guessed it, it's Yahoo. Yahoo actually backs up 400 petabytes of data using our backup software every day. If you know that Yahoo's application called Flickr, it actually uses this as a backup software platform. That application uses this as a backup software platform. So that actually shows you the scalability and the enterprise class of our software. It is not only suited for small or medium market organization, it can scale up down to the largest, up to the largest organization. So when you invest on us, you might be today running a small operations, but as you grow up, as you become more complex, as you become larger, our software can scale up too. That's what it demonstrates. And Yahoo, by the way, has been a customer for us for more than a decade now. Okay, so now coming to the assets that we have, and I know Harmeet talked about Ecologic and Complement. I sort of captured in one slide the 4 assets that we have, and I'll just spend probably a minute on each of this. The first one is the deduplication appliance. So it's called, it's an appliance, it's a hard-coded appliance, and we have one product line called DR4100, or one series called 4100. The next series, or the different family comes out is DR6000 in the first half of next year. And it provides you superior manageability, superior performance and throughput that you're expecting out of a deduplication appliance. So if you have a data size which is significantly growing at a larger pace, and you are struggling with your backup windows becoming larger, you should look at a deduplication appliance. It enables you to do inline dedupe. That means that deduplication happens in transit. And there are a lot of technologies which talks about a source-based dedupe, target-based dedupe. Either which we will look at it, both those technologies will require some staging area. Because when you do a source-based dedupe, you sort of ping the core servers, application servers, store the data, and then you do deduplication, and then you sort of transmit it over to the target. If you do target-based dedupe, you transmit the entire data, then do sort of deduplication on the target-based, so you create a staging area, and then it moves to the target. But inline dedupe happens in transit. So while the data is being transmitted over the wire, it gets deduped. So what it helps you in optimizing your storage cost, it also helps you in managing your backup windows, because less amount of data is actually moving over the wire. So it saves your bandwidth cost too. Second one is an interesting product. It's a software product, also available as a backup appliance. But this is a product, it's a backup and recovery software product, but does more things than that. Primarily designed around the Windows and Linux platform, it does your standard backup. And also it covers all the core Microsoft applications too. It does recovery. It can do recovery for you within 30 seconds for your critical applications. It can do replication of data from all your remote offices onto your central sort of location if you're doing replication. And while replicating, it can also do deduplication. Fifth, Tomorrow, if you have built a sort of a primary data center on premise and you want to build your secondary data center onto a third-party cloud provider, be it an Amazon or Sifi or Rackspace or Tulip, this backup software will enable you to push that data onto the cloud, and when your primary site goes down, this software will enable you to recover it from the cloud and bring it to your premise and make it available. So it's not just a plain sort of a backup, a traditional backup and recovery software. It actually does multiple amount of things. But again, if you have a Windows platform and you have some virtualization into it, so virtualization platform, it supports VMware and Hyper-V, both the virtual and Zen 2. So if you have a mixed load of Windows platform, virtualization platform, and you have a cloud strategy, and you have remote offices across, and at the same time you have some critical applications to protect where you can't afford a recovery time more than a minute, you should look at this. This is available as a software form and is also available as an appliance form. So you can buy the entire backup appliance, the DL series that I referred to in the last slide. The third one is the foundation, is the rock of the entire portfolio, which is called NetVault. So NetVault is the traditional backup and recovery software, operates across heterogeneous environments, be it Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, okay, operates across any virtualization platform, operates across any application that you have. It can back it up to disk, it can back it up to tape, it do traditional NDMP based backup, it does everything. The latest version of it, version 10, actually comes out in January time frame. The beta is currently under sort of testing. I'll sort of share a couple of slides on the new interface that has come with this software, and that is significant sort of an improvement for this product. The last one is a sort of an interesting product. It's actually a point product. It was designed for almost 7 years back purely for the VMware environment. Now, VMware sort of brings in a lot of advantages to organizations in terms of ability to converge your assets, but it also brings in challenges in terms of how do you manage the backup and recovery and replication of data across multiple VMware sites. This product was designed by 7 years back just to do VMware backup, recovery, and replication over a WAN from one VM host to the other one. And it has done absolutely an excellent role in terms of acquiring new customers for a VMware environment. So Research in Motion, which is nowadays called BlackBerry, is one of the largest users of this product across the globe. And the latest version of vRanger would also support Hypervisor or Hyper-V as the latest hypervisor apart from VMware. So if your organization is sort of 90% virtualized, 80% virtualized, and you have few physical servers only, and it's on VMware or Hyper-V, you should look at this product. And the beauty of this product is it's an agentless. So if you know the backup terminology, you actually install agents in each of the servers that you protect. This is an agentless backup. You don't need to install agents. It actually backs up from the VMware sort of host level. So a couple of slides that just sort of talk about the roadmap for this entire software portfolio. So we have multiple assets, as you would have seen in the last slide, but the idea is to sort of move to a scenario where we have two offerings, broad two offerings, depending on how complex or how big is your environment is. Now, we might name it as mid-market, emerging market, or enterprise, but it actually depends on what your data sizes are, what's your RPO and RTO requirements are, how diverse is the environment, and depending on that, you decide which product to go for. But the good thing about this entire thing is that though we will have two products, and typically organizations or typically my competitors will come and sort of position two products with no sort of upgrade path between the two. It runs as two separate lines of products. Yes, here also it's two separate lines of product, but the common repository that each of these products will use is a single one. So that means tomorrow if you want to upgrade from the mid-market or the mid-range product to the enterprise class product, the data migration across two backward software becomes very, very seamless because it uses a common repository, common protocol it uses to store the data. And this is expected somewhere in the later half or second half of FY15. And so some of the developments towards that happening around. The idea of this slide is to just to showcase that there is a lot of developmental work that is happening with Dell, within Dell software, within Dell storage, to bring to the customer the latest offerings or the latest sort of products in line with your organizational needs. As I said, I'll spend a few minutes on this. This is the new version that is coming for the NetVault backup software product, and these are the couple of screenshots on the interface. This is the interface. It's again very, very simple. So the good thing about all of our software assets and also about our appliances are three things. One is that each of these softwares are very easy to evaluate. Probably we are the only enterprise class software which you can go to our website and download a full featured 30-day free trial. Second is, it is very, very easy to manage. All my software from installation to the first backup takes you less than 3 hours. If you don't believe me, please test it out. In some cases, it takes less than 45 minutes actually. Vis-a-vis a lot of my sort of friends in the industry whose backup software will probably take 7 days to sort of install and keep it running. And thirdly, you don't really need a large IT team to manage my backup infrastructure. To be very true, backup softwares are like an insurance to your business. You would ensure that your IT staff is more focused on managing your core applications and core infrastructure rather than focusing more on to decide whether the backup is happening or recovery will happen or not happen. It's a completely automated tool. You probably need 1/10 of your IT team resources to manage this backup software infrastructure. And lastly, it's very, very easy to own. So the licensing policies are very simple, very less complicated. So you don't need to figure out what's the core number of cores that your processor has, what my tiering ratios are. It's basically purely on capacity. So what's your capacity that you want to back up? One full backup capacity, I license you for that. That's it. So that's what is differentiated with these 3 points with this product, and that's what is sort of demonstrated also in the interface. Interface is very simple. It sort of takes care of all your requirements that a backup software, or backup or recovery interface can have. And the good thing is about as a roadmap to this interface will actually integrate to third-party cloud providers. So you can use this interface to look at your data being backed up or recovered from a third-party cloud provider too. So we'll open up a gateway to people like Amazon, Rackspace, Sifi, sort of help you to understand what's happening to your data in the third-party cloud provider interface. The next slide sort of goes down, and this sort of summarizes everything. And I think that's what Harmeet has sort of spent time on. I just want to re-emphasize that we enable you to sort of cut your risk by sort of providing a solution which sort of maps to your data and data classification and the RPO and RTO requirements. It helps you to save time, save a lot of bandwidth cost, saves a lot of recovery time cost that you sort of faced or challenged with today. And third, it gives you a hugely and highly cost-efficient solution. That's what we bring on the table. It's cost-efficient, it's less complex, but at the same time, it is not as simple. It does all the functions that your enterprise would need, but at a much better cost to sort of investment ratio that you're looking at, or at a much better ROI that you're looking at. That's where I am, and thank you, and I think I didn't get you late for the dinner. So enjoy your evening, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much.